surgery. Everything in and out of style. But cotton stuff has been around a while. New to it, try it on a wrist. Cause everyone's a sadomasochist. Laugh it up as you cut and there's no pain. You carved your name into my heart again. You carved your name into my heart. Seems strange. Seems so strange. That's a lot of letters on a heart. Mama didn't name her very smart. At least she got a pretty letter straight. Mama put the pressure on her penmanship. Really, it's all insane. You carved your name into my heart again.
Hello, I am here. We're vibing. So this is another one of these middle ground videos because they're interesting, and I forgot that this one existed, and it's like perfect for the shit I do on live. So I thought we're gonna do what we did last time and go through. Last time I did not hit on every point just because these videos are pretty long. This one is significantly shorter. But the first two were not relevant. One of them was like an icebreaker question, and the second one was just, I'm nervous about being here today, yes or no. So this one, I have seen this video, but it has been a long time. The only thing I really remember about it is the Jewish atheist woman is awesome and I love her, and the bald guy is a cunt. I don't remember why I don't like him, but I watched a little bit of it just to, like, remember all the people and stuff, and then I was like, okay, I don't remember what this guy did, but I don't like him already, and I can't remember why, so we're gonna do that. Also, thank you, I appreciate it. He is my baby, he's my dude. He's chillin'. So yeah, we're gonna go. I rewatched the beginning of this part, like, probably, like, 1 minute. So yeah, let's just get into it.
I believe there is good in every person.
My answer for this is no, and obviously I will elaborate as they do. I am jealous that you are high, as I have only had one shot, so that I'm preserving my vodka. Yeah, my answer is usually but no. So, technically no, but close.
If I just choose to believe that everyone is purely bad or evil, then that's going to be pretty.
And then you have to decide what the definition of good is. What
like,
is good?
according to Christianity, there's no one good. No, not one. But I don't necessarily
That is an issue I have with Christianity.
believe that if no one's good. I
We're
don't
born
want.
with a sin nature.
Yeah, so that's hard. Is like my definition of good it may not align with Scripture, so it's hard because that's why I hesitated. Like I want to believe everybody's good.
If that's antithetical to the Christian belief, is that you're born is sinful. It's interesting that the three of you came who are believers in that.
I'm not saying people are innately good. I'm just saying I just understood the question as all people are capable of good.
I think if the question is structured, they haven't said his name yet, the guy in the plaid. I think if they were structuring a question in the way that said everyone is capable of good, I would say yes. So in the way that he interpreted the question, I would agree. But in the way it was worded directly, I do not agree.
Yeah, no. Start with Hitler and go from there. Are people, are some people born good and turn bad?
Well, I think that's why the definition of good is subjective. That's why it's like to each his own for a definition, which is kind of hard.
I agree. I am a very big proponent of subjective morality. Without something to perceive it, morality would not exist. Morality is subjective. It's not an innate feature of the universe.
I don't know what is right or wrong without the Bible, because it's God that makes the rules.
Really?
Without God, you have no rules.
You can't make a decision on your own whether it's good or bad.
What about Hitler? He made a decision. He
Right,
thought it was
and-
good.
I already fucking remember why I don't like this guy, because that whole mindset of without religion you can't have morals. First of all, humanity did exist before religion, and other species exhibit morality, but also, it's a little scary that without the Bible, you would be like totally vibing with just killing people or like committing hate crimes or whatever. If you're not capable of discerning that those things are good or bad, at least to some degree on your own, that's a problem. I think it's pretty obvious why it's a problem if you need an old book to tell you, don't kill people. That says you need to see a psychiatrist.
Good.
And he was wrong. You don't need the Bible to tell you that.
Well, you're born with that. God put that in you.
As
No, evolving as a social species that lives in groups put that in us, just like it did in orcas and chimpanzees and gorillas who also exhibit, even crows, who exhibit altruism. There have been studies, in fact, actually, I might cover this at some point if I can find an article that's not like a scientific journal. There have been studies that crows exhibit consistent morality and altruism. I don't think crows can read the Bible, so I think that says something.
That
As you
nature,
believe.
that conscience.
as you believe.
That's not a belief, it's a fact. I'm an author of 2 books where I give the whole history of the Earth from paleontology, geology, archaeology, publish about 4 articles on numerous subjects, including politics, science, meteoritics, dinosaurs.
I believe
I'm concerned that he just published a bunch of articles in random things. You have to... Okay, I'm not even gonna fucking go there.
my life has worth and value.
Objectively, no, I do not believe my life has worth and value. To me and the people around me, I believe my life has worth and value. But in an objective, literal sense, it does not. So, I feel like if I were there, I would go stand in between the wall and the chair, because you gotta define if you mean an objective sense of worth or a I value myself sense of worth. I love crows. They are so cute. I would die for them.
To my mother. Yes, I would want people to think that they have worth and value, but I mean, we are all ants on a big ball.
We are all very important. The design in those things, if a man were to design it, it would cost several $1 million to make a human, if that were possible. And yet, God has created billions of us.
I believe in people. I believe we make our own choices. I don't believe that there is a overriding being controlling those choices or controlling our situation.
You are important.
So I do not think that inherently just existing gives you worth and value. I think that you make choices, personal choices every single day on how you live your life and how you treat people and how you exist in the world, and those...
Well, hold on. You just made a definition.
I completely agree with her there. I think a little more loosely on that. I think by having sentience, you have some level of worth and value, the same reason I'm vegetarian. But that being said, I think that worth and value can be lost or increased. Like, for example, Hitler lost that worth and value. In my opinion, Trump lost that worth and value. Sex offenders lost that worth and value. Jeffrey Dahmer, etc. I could go on. And some people do great things for the world, and they increase that and have a bigger positive impact on the world. But I do think there is some level of you are sentient and have your own bodily autonomy that you have worth and value, but it's also like, I think it's not as straightforward as that. Also, yeah, I agree, Moon Peanut. The plaid shirt bald guy, the old dude, not the plaid shirt black hair guy. I like him. He's cool. But this dude, I want to punt him into the sun. He's giving me Ken Ham vibes, and I'm not loving it.
About what value is, but you still don't believe you're valuable based on your explanation?
I said I'm not inherently valuable. My being born does not just...
You're saying based on your contribution to the world determines your value, right? What you get back.
No, please don't.
Oh, no, I'm not trying, I'm trying to figure out what you meant.
There are many people who just exist because of instinct or because... Do their lives have value? I don't know. If they find value in it, sure. If they don't, maybe not. Who am I to judge whether somebody's life is inherently valuable?
Yeah, exactly that. Like, yes. That's exactly what I was saying at the beginning. Your worth and value comes from what you make of your own self, not from some outside source. Just pure existence does not... Like, for example, an ant is sentient, right? An ant has somewhat coherent thoughts. It makes choices. We have shown that they can, to a very small degree, feel emotion, but also you step on ants every day, and most people don't feel bad about that. I mean, I kind of do, but I just like bugs. I mean, it's so subjective that I honestly wouldn't even know how to answer that question in the, 3 minutes allotted that they're given with this.
I have had my doubts on the existence of a higher power.
Of course, only the bald guy doesn't sit down. Of course. So he's either so indoctrinated or deluded that he's never second-guessed his beliefs, or he's a liar. Because, I'm sorry, but everyone with some level of intelligence doubts the things they believe. It doesn't make your beliefs in those things any less real or genuine. But if you've never doubted your belief systems, you need to. It shows you've never assessed your opinions and why you hold them, and as such could be holding harmful opinions. Like, I've assessed my views on pretty much everything repeatedly. I mean, albeit it's mostly because it's something I'm interested in, but obviously I make these videos. I question all the time if God exists, if this God exists, if there's no God, if it's pantheism. I don't have any proof for those things, so I don't believe in them, but I'm open to an alternative, and obviously Bald Dude is not. Sharkbait, can you please stop just, saying random stuff? You were being very difficult in the last live, and I'm really not having you being difficult in this live either, so either please don't just say random shit or things with no substance, or I'm gonna mute you.
I am a woman of faith and belief. I believe in the supernatural and higher power and a being that there's no accident in the way we were created. Yeah, I think anytime I have gone through hardship, I've questioned not just what I believe. I question my life, I question my profession, I question my relationships. So
I think, if you believe, whether it's Islam, Hindu, I think you have to doubt it. You can't just jump in there and be like, sign me up, I agree with everything, let's do this.
That would be for you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly what he was saying. If you want to dedicate your life to a belief, you need to assess why you hold that belief before you be like Bald Plaid Dude and just go, nope, I believe it, no questioning it, not even going to think about it for a quarter of a second. Exactly that. If you want to dedicate your life to a belief, you need to assess the value and realisticness of those beliefs and whether or not I agree with the conclusion people come to. And those, at the beginning, the part I skipped, that was part of the icebreaker part, the plaid shirt guy, the nice one, said he used to be an atheist, and he talked to some more progressive church people, and he became a Christian. And I'm like, I don't doubt that he was an atheist to begin with, and I don't doubt that he's a Christian now. And, I don't understand how he came to that conclusion, but I respect that he came to it from a place of curiosity and inquisition, and not a place of, someone told me this, and I was in a gullible and vulnerable position, and as such, I just believed it, as with most religious people. So, that is something I respect about that guy and why I like him. So, yeah, I agree.
For you, but that's not for everybody that is a believer of any particular religion. Some people don't question anything.
But in your view, by standing and saying, I don't think there's any higher power, do you ever face any doubt of thinking maybe there is?
Well, the definition of an atheist is someone who does not believe. It's not a declaration per se that there is no God. I am an atheist activist. I'm on the board of Atheists United here in Los Angeles and on the steering committee for Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
All right, come on in.
Here we fucking go.
No, I've never had any doubt, because I can see design everywhere. And you are not an atheist, you're an agnostic.
Nope.
Okay, this, I remember why I don't like him so much. It's this. He argues with her on her own label. For reference, atheist, the roots of the word, a meaning lack of, and theist meaning belief in God, lack of belief in God. It's not claiming there is no God factually, I know for a fact. It's saying I have no proof, and as such, I withhold belief. Claiming there is no God is a positive claim. Withholding belief is a neutral position. And agnostic means basically, I don't know, I can't say definitively. So most atheists are agnostic atheists, meaning I don't know for a fact there's no God, but I don't believe in one. And people like this guy do not understand. I fucking hate people like him who do not understand the definition of atheist. I have never proclaimed for a fact that there is no God of any type. I can pretty confidently, not for a fact, but pretty confidently say the God of the Bible doesn't exist. But that doesn't mean no God exists. And that is with the information that I possess right now. The information that I am aware of at the moment contradicts things in the Bible, and as such, I'm pretty confident that that specific God does not exist. Okay, let's just go. I fucking hate that he argues with this shit. Sharkbait, I'm going to mute you. You are driving me up the wall.
It's an agnostic belief.
Don't tell me what I am. I am an atheist.
An atheist doesn't believe
I'm an atheist, no.
An atheist doesn't believe in the supernatural, period.
An atheist
An
does not
agnostic
believe in
does believe in the supernatural.
Okay, I can't figure out how to mute you on OBS, so I'm not going to, but you need to stop saying random shit in the chat, or I'm gonna have to, actually pause the live and go do it through my phone, because it's actually, irritating the mother-loving fuck out of me.
That does not
He
believe
just
in
doesn't
God.
believe in God.
I am telling you what an atheist is.
You're wrong.
No.
Do you believe in the
I am an
supernatural?
atheist.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
Look. Do not tell me
Do you believe
what
in
I am.
witches?
We don't need to make
What I
anybody
am.
right or wrong. It's just answer the question, give her
tell me what
space
I
to
am.
talk. Give her space to talk.
Thank you, blonde lady. Thank you. Yes, it's not about being right or wrong, it's about sharing your opinions. Sharkbait, please stop. Please stop just saying random shit. I'm begging you, just stop talking. I am incapable of muting you right now, and I am in a very on-edge mood right now. I am this close to going off at you. So please give something of substance with an educated position, give a personal anecdote, or be quiet. Those are your options, or I'm gonna have to, put the shit on hold and go on my phone and block you, because you are driving me up the wall.
Do you believe that this line of interrogation, questioning, furthers your...
No, I'm just giving facts.
Saved by the bell.
I am feeling frustrated right now.
I'm feeling frustrated because it's even amidst the...
I am, but mostly at Sharkbait and also Bald Dude. I just fucking hate this. Obviously not all Christians, because the other people on the Christian side are chill. Christians like Bald Dude, whose name I am unaware of, are so arrogant. They are so... Okay, fundy Christians, because Bald Guy is obviously a fundy. Fundy Christians are so fucking arrogant, and it makes me want to, right hook his jaw.
fellow believers, the things he says, I'm just like, yo, I don't even know. I don't want what he says to reflect what my faith is too, you know what I mean?
I think it's sad that people are so determined to make other people wrong. And I grew up in a household with a conservative Jewish mother and a born-again Christian father, and I was in an abusive marriage, and my father yelled at me that I was going to hell when I walked out. I'm sorry. I don't believe in a God that would believe that.
Yeah, that's not.
It's not, and that is objectively, I don't care. That's
and
crazy.
These conversations, like, you know, if we have people who are just trying to drive their point through and almost
Exactly.
converting it, it kind of shuts down conversation.
Exactly.
I want to know what you believe and why you don't.
Anybody else? Come on in.
I love nice plaid guy. He's so chill. I mean, obviously, oh my god, I'm sorry, my bunny just did the cutest fucking thing. Yeah, like, Christians like him and the blonde lady are awesome. Particularly, I mean, I particularly like the dude sitting down, because at the beginning he said he used to be an atheist and perceived Christianity from the outside in the way that bald dude talked about it, which I think gives him a unique perspective, because not many atheists go from atheist to Christian. A lot of Christians go from Christian to atheist, or from Christian to another religion, or from another religion to Christian, but it's not very common to see atheists go to monotheistic religion. It's not terribly uncommon to see atheists go to things like Wicca or Buddhism, but things like Christianity or Islam are not super common conversion things. So I think it's definitely, he has a really unique perspective as a progressive Christian who also was an atheist for most of his life. I think that's like a unique perspective, and I like him. Bald guy needs to learn that he isn't saying facts maybe for himself, but that's not a fact to everyone. It's just a fact he believes. It's not a fact to a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. Like, he's entitled to believe what he's saying is a fact, even if he doesn't have an understanding of what fact means. But, like, he's entitled to believe what he wants, right? Like, but, like, he needs to, like, stop. Like, it's so frustrating, because everyone there is trying to have, like, this, like, civil conversation and just share their outlooks. And he's just there like, no, I'm just right. And everyone, like the Christians and the atheists are just like, bro, that's not even what we're fucking talking about. We're not talking about who's right or who's wrong. We're talking about our outlooks on life. Like, fucking chill.
Again, we have the power to choose our response to things. So I choose not to feel hurt. I choose not to be misunderstood.
I think there's safety in being heard and understood. You feel as if whatever it is that you want to be understood about matters.
I'm getting married in the next 2 months, and I'm learning that just loving is not the same as understanding. So it takes energy and effort to understand someone who's different. I think we're kind of, as a society, becoming lazy. So we're like, oh, you're different. I don't want to understand. I need people who are just saying.
It's always been that way.
It's always been.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true in other... Oh my god, I'm sorry, the bunny is so cute. It's hurting my soul. I mean, that's definitely true in terms of the last video I was talking about yesterday, too. They said something similar that Buck, the older trans man, said along the lines of people don't want to have these conversations because they don't want to hear opinions they don't like. And I think, like, with different things I've talked about of other, like, reviewing things like this, that always, like, comes back to people don't want to have these conversations. And, like, it's so frustrating that really every opinion I hold to some degree is controversial, whether it's to the left or to the right. I mean, not all of them, but there's always I have very strong opinions, and there's always someone who doesn't like it, and unfortunately, it's usually opinions that people don't like to talk about, which just makes it that much more frustrating. Like with the last video with trans issues, I have gotten accounts banned for talking about it and being mass reported. Like, people don't want to hear it so heavily that they will deplatform people. And personally, I think the only time deplatforming is appropriate is inciting violence. I mean, obviously, private companies have the right to ban whoever they want to, but in a moral standpoint, I think the only position in which deplatforming people is appropriate is inciting violence, whether that violence is something less physical, like racism or white supremacy, or something literal, like the January 6th insurrection, whether it's literal physical violence like that, or something like racism or white supremacy. I think those are the only times at which those things need to be deplatformed. I know I got on a little tangent there, but it definitely, yeah, he's very right. People don't like to have these conversations. They like to stick to their own little in-group and ignore what everyone else is saying, and it's very frustrating. Sharkbait, I swear to God, I cannot ban you right now, and I am beyond fucking irritated. Please stop saying random shit.
Time. I believe, as a person, I have room for improvement.
Did you see bald guy hesitate? Everyone walked forward and he stood there for a second and then he was like, I should probably sit down.
Oh, look, we all agree.
We all have room for improvement.
That's my aspiration on a daily basis, is to be a better person.
We're always learning.
I used to think at some point I would actualize into, I've made it. I've made it into maturity and wisdom. No.
You're a teenager, you think, when I'm in college, I'll have it figured out.
Yep.
When I graduate, I'll have it figured out. When I get married, I'll have it figured out. When I have kids, I have it figured out. But we're always...
We won't reach perfection till we get to heaven.
Of course. Shut up. I want to punch him. I swear to God, I didn't take my medication today. My frustration is just very on edge. Also, my rabbit yawned and it made me less angry because it was very cute.
Down here is an imperfect world. Our knowledge is imperfect. Our bodies are imperfect. Our world is imperfect.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but it's the delivery of it.
All right,
we understand
improvement.
It,
I agree. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I agree with the heaven shit and whatever, but maybe let's not go there.
Right.
Let's stay up.
What was the question? We all believe that we have room for improvement. Yeah, certainly.
All right, Alyssa, I acknowledge you for keeping very, very focused and not getting ever heated, but staying.
I went on my phone and blocked Sharkbait. It's fucking driving me nuts. They are blocked now. I had to go on my phone to do it, but I'm fucking over that.
Staying focused.
I appreciate your honesty and the way you stand up for what you believe.
Nancy, you have a presence of self. You have a very still, very centered quality to you that is very admirable.
Christine, I acknowledge you for not running out of the room when you were in a controversial conversation. I acknowledge you for standing your ground, for believing what you believe, and you've got a lot of fight in you. Oh, Jeremy, I acknowledge you for being unwaveringly firm in what you believe, and not caring whether it's controversial or difficult to say what you believe. That is a sign of passion.
Peter, I think you're growing, and I think you're a wonderful guy. And your marriage is going to make it grow even more.
You just seem like a very comfortable guy who's willing to learn and grow, and that's a lovely, lovely quality in somebody.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Honestly, I mean, I will say, she's right. I mean, the bald dude they never said their names in this one. I looked at the beginning. But usually they have like a little introduction throughout it, I guess, because this is a shorter one. But I will say that he is very passionate, which I am very passionate too. I understand the urge to express your opinions uncensored, so I can at least acknowledge that. I get shit for that all the time, but I do think, like the dude in the middle said, the delivery needs some work.
Rissa, you have this ability to take stock of yourself and make decisions. Like when you said, I choose not to be hurt and so I'm not hurt. It's an amazing quality in somebody. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all. Bye, guys.
Are we invited to the wedding?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll see
Put a handshake. Oh, no, thank you.
they send their...
Yeah, honestly, I agree with all of their little closing statements, as much as I don't like the bald dude. Yeah, I am going to, so I have a few of these that I'm going to do for the religion ones, just because that was a shorter one. I have not seen this one in a very long time. I barely remember it. Liberal versus conservative Christians. So I am, obviously, if you saw that, I am an atheist. I am a very hard-headed, strong in my I guess, requirements for evidence atheist, but I am fairly aware. I mean, I've read the Bible, I've watched Christian scholars talk, like, for example, I fucking love, I've said this before, William Lane Craig. Like, I have another book, but I cannot remember his name. I have a book by a Christian talking about different aspects of biblical morality that I think is really interesting. If anyone wants to know what that is, it's I'll have to get it tomorrow, but I can let you know, because it's a really good book. But, so I'm not going to agree with much here, but I would just like to talk about, I guess, or you know what, I'm gonna not actually on this one, because I do have a lot of, I guess, scripture and such memorized, but I don't have the, I guess, education to interpret that scripture, and I also don't know which Bibles they may be referencing, if they do as such. So I may come back to that one, actually, but here, we're going to do this one. Can LGBTQ and Christians see eye to eye, middle ground? I have seen this one. Again, it's been a while. The other one I remember very heavily just because of the little bitchy bald dude. I don't remember this one very well. I've seen it. I've actually seen all of them in this playlist, I believe. Yeah, I've seen all of them, except this one, which I think just says I haven't seen it because I clicked on it before this and realized it was just funny. Yeah, so this, I'm going to, as a gay atheist, trans atheist, I'm going to go through this one. I do not remember as much in this one.
Manifestation of love. This is glorious and beautiful, and any God which denies me for this, I don't want to have a part of.
I don't even know the context for that yet, and he's based.
On the left-hand side, can I have my LGBT folks? On the right-hand side, can I have my conservatives? There are times when I feel uncomfortable expressing my views around sexuality.
I get uncomfortable.
I stand with the chick in the back. You guys have seen the shit I say online and in person. I don't keep my... I drove around a anti-gay protest a few weeks ago. Not really a few. I believe it was in February. With my trans flag hanging out of my car and blasting the Book of Mormon. So I probably could have gotten shot, man. I live in Texas. We got open carry here, but I don't fucking care. I have no fear of death. You guys have fucking seen my community post tab, so...
Primarily because the bromance of like, well, there's two girls, who's the boy? And then it really just breaks the ice as it's like, there isn't supposed to be a boy. That's why we're there. I do my best to break the ice with the comedic deflection, which I've learned is a self-defense mechanism, right? So.
I come from a very conservative community, and so, you know, it just wasn't talked about. The people I've had the most conversation with about are actually my family, which is really weird because I came out to my parents because my dad was going to be leading the protests at the Pride Festival that my boyfriend wanted me to go to. So,
I'm a pastor as well. I'm also a community leader in Boyle Heights, and in that community there's a large LGBTQ presence, so there's that fear of really coming out and say what I believe, because I do love everybody and I don't want to be pushed to the side just because I have a certain feeling about, you know, any topic really.
I just wanted to say too, and you know, it's not the beliefs that sometimes I have a problem with, or I think people have a problem with in general. It's just like the actions from the beliefs. So like, it's okay to have beliefs, but if we like can be loving in our beliefs, and you know how our actions come from those beliefs, and like, I love that we're having this conversation. You know, like trying.
I agree with that. I said this in my video yesterday, I believe, the one about the conservatives versus trans men. But I definitely, like, yeah, I mean, you guys know I just went on about fucking deplatforming. You're allowed to have and share your beliefs, but yeah, they're very right. Like, the second that you start putting actions or enforcement on other people on those beliefs, there's a problem.
Kind of breach those, like build a bridge.
Some sins are worse than others.
I would just stay back here because I don't believe in sin, so.
In the eyes of, of the God I worship, I believe that any sin separates us from.
Alrighty, have a great night or day or whatever. Thanks for joining me. It was nice talking to you.
Him because he's holy and pure. But at the same time, I think there are certain sins that will have greater consequences.
Yeah, I resonate with that. For me, it would be, killing another human is the worst. That's it. Also, it Venn diagrams into abortion. Taking the life of another is huge.
Can I ask you to?
Is this person I don't know what their pronouns are. I feel bad. I genuinely can't tell. Is this person anti-abortion and on the LGBT side? Because that's new, honestly, for me.
To this, do you all see homosexuality as a sin?
Yes.
And if so, where on that scale?
I don't think a homosexual tendency or an attraction to somebody of the same gender is a sin.
The fact that he laughed is homosexual tendency. I believe this guy is Christian. That was what I was getting, but I'm not entirely sure. He said he grew up conservative. I don't know what he believes now, but he's on the LGBT side, so.
I think that's a natural feeling. I think when you start engaging in a lifestyle and you act upon that tendency, then because it goes against what I believe God designed, then I think that's clearly a sin.
I just don't believe in sin because I feel that sometimes being punitive about things can make you repress things, and instinctually I was like, but not acting on them would be a sin. That's how it feels for me, being dishonest to myself, that feels wrong.
At some point in my life, I was taught that sex is wrong.
I was taught that in a public school because we had for reference, I live in Texas, the South. At my government-funded public school, our sex education came from a literal church. They had a church, an actual church organization, come and talk about how premarital sex is a sin and only taught abstinence. They didn't even mention the word condom. So, I was never taught that by anyone but them, and at that point I was 13, so I just thought that was stupid, but I was taught that, even if I never actually believed it, because I was taught it by an illegally represented religious group going to a government-funded public school. By the way, fuck you, Texas lifeguard, go fuck yourself. I believe they still exist. I don't know if they still do or not. A few years ago they did, because I looked it up.
I guess within the context, sex is bad outside the context of marriage. And so I guess that's how I identified with the question.
I had a very strong religious upbringing, and I ended up doing a lot of self-harm, and I ended up doing a lot of things just to try and cope with these urges that when I finally gave into them, I went, this is a physical manifestation of love. This is glorious and beautiful, and any God which denies me for this, I don't want to have a part of. Because whatever this is I know for a fact to be a truth because it is the nature of love.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, obviously there's asexual people, and obviously that doesn't apply to them, which is totally fine. But yeah, I completely agree. Any God that says showing love to your partner, regardless of if you're married or not, is going to get you tormented for eternity, is gross.
Yeah, just responding to your story, it makes me sad to hear that that you decided to hurt yourself.
Me too.
Yeah, I still hold on to what I believe are my beliefs, but at the same time, I wish there was a better way for you to talk to someone and to process and to think through reconciling how you feel with like what you may have been taught or have read through scripture.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is I think there's a lot of cultural baggage, I think, around Christianity that isn't necessarily inherently part of any biblical Christianity.
Oh, that's so true. There's so much about Christianity, especially the whole concept of hell alone, is very, very not biblical. I mean, sorry, I was eating a piece of popcorn. I wanted to mute myself because I wanted to insert something before it went on, but I had to mute myself. But yeah, he's so right. Like, there's so much that is cultural Christianity that's just part of the culture in America, of America being a generally pretty conservative and religious country. I mean, I believe in 2019, I wasn't able to find a newer poll, but in 2019, 70% of America was Christian, and 40% of those Christians did not believe in evolution. So, yeah, a good majority of America, pretty much all of America, is Christian, and that's just Christian, by the way. That's not just religious people. That's just Christian. And a good half of America, a little less than half, is fundamentalist Christian. So, yeah, there's so many aspects of this that he's right, that are not biblical, that are not based in scripture, that they're based in culture, that they're based in conservatism. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the no sex before marriage thing is biblical, but the way it's enforced and the way it's treated and the punishments that are socially presented to it are not biblical. Not that it matters if it's biblical, because you shouldn't be shaming people for that anyway, but yeah, still. Because I believe the gay dude on the Christian gay dude, I believe he's Christian and not just raised Christian.
Even though I grew up in a Christian family, I don't recall ever being told that sex was wrong or it was a bad thing. I think I grew up with the understanding that sex is a beautiful thing. It was given to us as a gift to enjoy. There's a place where it's been designed for, a place where we can enjoy it, and then there's a place where it's detestable in the sight of the Creator, the one who gave it to us.
I just don't like the idea that anything's really detestable. You know what I mean? So
I agree. Unless you're outwardly harming someone else, the idea of doing something that is a victimless crime being testable is gross.
I just don't.
But wouldn't you say that even sex for you within certain contexts is detestable, right? Like if it's non-consensual, like that's pretty detestable.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
So even in that
the things
context,
that I consent to are, I think, not like that. I have sometimes no control over if it's non-consensual.
People should honor the pronouns others wish to be called.
Yes, no brainer. Even people with pronouns that I don't think are real, like people who say their cat self, I'm not going to misgender them. I'm just going to call them by their fucking name. Even people that I don't agree with their position on pronouns. Pronouns are basic human respect. I don't agree with noun pronouns, but if you want me to call you cat self, I feel like I'm enabling something by doing that. But I'm not going to call you they, them, or she, or he, or z, or whatever. I'm just going to call you by your name because I don't want to misgender you. Like, that's basic human respect. At the bare minimum, call someone by their name. If you have some horrible, moral, stupid opinion that real words that make people feel comfortable are somehow bad, then that's a you problem and not something you need to take out on an individual. It's basic human decency. There's really no exception to that, even in places I do disagree.
Hesitation's enough.
I really hope the person sitting back is talking about neo-pronouns and not just in general.
For this, like, I identify as they. People don't consider it, and I think that, like, having these conversations about how people want to identify is, like, really important in a way that we can move things forward and stuff.
Yeah, if you're gonna, like, hey, if you don't use whatever, you're gonna get fined or whatever, like, that's, I'm not a big fan of that.
These are conversations between us, though,
but
right?
like,
yeah.
But otherwise, it's just being respectful.
Oh, the pronoun police. So for me, I never correct people because many times people do confuse me as sir. I don't, it doesn't faze me. However, I'm born in a female body, I'm a she. There are times where my girlfriends have said, oh, my boyfriend is and that, just because of their comfort zone. They don't want to have to deal with the whole like social stigma.
So you're comfortable with them presenting you as a male?
It doesn't faze me.
Really?
It doesn't faze me at all because my identity and my expressions are masculine, and I've come to the terms and the realization that I don't need to chop up my body into different pieces to fit in the social little box that is man. If you want to address me, you can address me as he or she or them or girl, Becky with the good hair, or Beck. It doesn't, as long as the term is respectful, I will take it.
I mean, I stood back just because it's a complicated topic, because
I think that's fair in terms of, I'm gonna be honest, I think she wanted she, her pronouns. I wasn't, because I think, well, they basically said they don't care, so I was a little confused on what they were getting at with their gender identity, but they said they don't care about they, so I'm just gonna go with they unless they say something later. But yeah, like, I think in terms of them talking about themselves, that's totally fine. Like, for me, I don't like being called she or they, but I have been out long enough, and I have enough confidence in my gender identity that it doesn't really bother me beyond being, like, the fact that someone is having that thought. It doesn't bother me about myself, it bothers me about, like, wow, some person is so petty that they refuse to use the wrong pronouns on purpose, but, like, beyond that, for the most part, for myself, I'm comfortable enough in my gender identity that, yeah, I don't like being called she or they, but, like, I also am just, it doesn't emotionally trigger much of a response from me. But I do think they're maybe not considering that I don't know if how they feel about that in regards to other people, because they didn't get into that, but I do think, yes, you can apply that logic to yourself, but you shouldn't be applying it to other people, because other people may have more strong feelings about the pronouns they're called than this person does, you know?
With language is powerful, and so when somebody who I would consider female wants to be called a male, I would want to probably respect that, but I still firmly believe that, you know, they're, like, God created there to be man and a woman, and I would like to sit down and talk to that person in depth before leaning one way or the other. Yeah.
But I think, like,
I think that thought process is fine, because he did say he will respect the pronouns and just wants to have a conversation about it. But there is the side of that says, why should a trans person have to have a deep philosophical conversation with you to have you respect their pronouns? Like, yes, I get having that conversation is good, but not everyone is in the right headspace to have that conversation, and you're not entitled to a deep philosophical conversation with every trans person you meet to be owed calling them the right pronouns. Like, again, don't get me wrong, I'm glad he said that he will, but it's not something that they need to, like, prove to you. You just say you want to be called she, he, they, whatever, do it, and then if you want to ask if they want to have a conversation about why they prefer that, and they say yes, like, go off, but don't expect that of anyone, you know?
Focusing more on, like, building a relationship instead of just, like, grilling someone, why do you feel, you know what I mean, like, just trying
What's
to connect,
wrong with you? Like, why?
Yeah, like, let me sit down.
Just dissect you like
so you are the pronoun police.
Yeah. America is heading in the right direction when it comes to inclusion and diversity.
For reference, this was uploaded in 2018. In 2018, I probably would have stayed back, as this was when Trump was in office. So in the time this is being recorded, if I were there, I would have said no. At the time of today, I'm going to say yes. But had this live been recorded when this video was recorded, I would have said no.
For me, it's more like the youth are headed in, like, inclusion and diversity, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's the institutions of power. I think the youth are really moving our culture forward, and, like, it's just...
Yeah, I agree with that. I think as a society, yes. As an institution, no. I mean, at the time this was happening was around the time of the trans military ban. I'm not sure if it had happened yet or not. I'm not exactly sure when that happened, but it was around the same time that was put into place. I mean, it was around the same time as all of the bathroom bill issues. I would believe I was a senior in high school. Or no, this was in July. So I had just I had just graduated high school when this video came out. So yeah, this was around the trans bathroom issues, near the time of the trans military ban. Still not sure if it had been in place yet or not. So like legally as an institution, no. I think since Biden, I'm going to be honest, I don't love Biden, but he has done more positive than Trump ever did, considering he reversed the trans military ban. So I think we're taking very tiny, tiny baby steps at the moment in America. As a federal government, as state governments, I'm going to say we're going backwards. As a federal government, I'm going to say baby steps. But yeah, I agree with them that like socially, as a generation of someone who is bordering between millennial and Gen Z, I think my age group and younger are definitely a lot better than the people who were my age when I was a kid. The 20-year-olds, I guess like Gen X, the people who were like in their 20s and 30s whenever I was a kid were not, I mean, although they were much more progressive than like my grandparents, are still less progressive than the people in my age group and younger, you know?
It's encouraging to see.
Now, I can't imagine what it's like to not be able to be who I am and having to hide. So I think it's good in that sense that people finally are living in a world where I can be who I am, and I don't have to be ostracized, and I can be included. And the reason why I didn't step in is because, I have certain values that I think are from God, and so that's why I hesitated a little bit on, do I come forward or not?
Well, I have a question, because I'm curious where the sanctity of your marriage comes in. Like, if you can only get married to a woman because you and God and that woman have a relationship that is perfect for you, I'm curious how that affects who we can marry.
Yeah. I don't think...
Yeah, that's a good point. If you don't want to marry a man, don't marry a man. If you don't want to marry a woman, don't marry a woman. If your religion says you can't be gay, which is arguable when it comes to Christianity to begin with, but let's just say it does and not get into the theology of that, why does that need to be enforced legally on other people? If you think it's wrong in your religion to do that, there's an issue there, it's a different issue, but why does that need to be a legal thing?
I think the job of a Christian, for example, is to get people to behave in a certain moral way that's in line with what the Bible says. I wouldn't be one to say, you can't marry another guy, or you can't marry another girl. I would say, first of all, God loves you, God loves you.
Yeah, so specifically talking about like Prop 8. When Prop 8 came out, I was completely against it. I thought it was foolish and quite ignorant. And by many
For reference, Prop 8 was a California law about gay marriage. I do not remember if it was pro or anti-gay marriage. I just remember it was, I believe it was in around 2016, 2017 here. I'm going to look it up. Can't remember if it's, yeah, okay. I can't remember if it's Prop A or Prop 8. Yeah, okay, it's Prop 8. Yeah, okay, Prop 8 was a same-sex marriage ban in California. Was I right? Was it 2016? Oh no, it was 2008. God, I was like a 4th grader. Damn. I guess I just heard about it a lot. Yeah, so Prop 8 was a gay marriage ban in California in the late 2000s.
churches supporting Prop 8, we basically told the gay community that we don't care about you, we don't care about how you feel, what you think love is. We're just going to mandate that you can't marry who you say you want to marry.
We're adversaries.
Yeah, we became adversaries, and the church, I think, lost a great position in saying, and coming to people saying, like, we love you.
People should have the right to have sex with anyone they want.
Assuming they are capable of consent, yes.
Anyone? Okay. Yeah, all right. Consensually, right?
All right.
Consensually.
With anyone? Okay. Yes. In the term anyone, except children.
Yeah.
As humans, and as creatures of a divine spirit, we have the right to follow our instincts. and our sexual urges without punishing ourselves for, wanting a woman or wanting a man. And so yeah, anyone has the right to consensual love making.
So the reason why I stepped back, and you guys would agree with me, but when I was 9 years old, I was touched by a family member. And so, that's, I can't step forward when that question is asked. And I know you guys wouldn't agree with that, and that's, you preferred at the very beginning that, if as long as it's consensual and not kids, but that was my experience. And
yeah,
really sorry about that.
No, I resonate with that as well. I mean, I was as well, and it wasn't a family member, thank God. However, it was still enough of a tumultuous problem that even when I came out as a lesbian, I wondered if it had to do with that instant. It definitely brought up. And that's why it was the first thing that I said, because, one is innocent and doesn't know.
I definitely get that position. There is a big stigma around trans and gay people that they're the way they are because of sexual trauma. And as someone whose personality disorder comes from childhood, well, not for everyone, for me, came from childhood sexual trauma, that's definitely something I struggle with. And I think that's an issue that needs to be addressed in terms of the way conservatives are portraying LGBT people. Because she shouldn't have to feel like she's scared that she's only who she is because of trauma. I shouldn't have had to feel that way. No one should have to feel that way. That's obviously not on her. That's on the people who are creating that stereotype, and it's gross.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I believe in a higher power.
I'd love to hear from your perspective why you believe in a higher power.
I mean, the household I was raised in, why not? The analogy of like, one cannot see love, one cannot see air, and it's still there. Mm-hmm. And, I started going to more.
I hate that analogy because you can detect it. Love is a chemical in your brain, and air is matter. So I get the analogy, but it's a bad analogy.
Clergymen and wanting to understand exactly, my ways of being in the image of a greater creator, understanding I wasn't a mistake. Mm-hmm. There is a higher source. There's definitely something that has given me these blessings that have nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the bigger picture of things.
I think for me, I was also raised in a very strong religious background, and just as I cannot deny this part of me that is the way I express love, I'd be dishonest if I said that when I sat down and I prayed and I listened, I didn't hear.
Oh no, it's time for the heathen.
No. Me at myself.
You have to stop.
No. You are no mistake.
I resonate with some of the things you said too. Like, I do believe in a higher power. I just don't believe in like a typical higher power. And I also highly believe in science, so I'm I believe in gravity as a higher power. I believe in entropy as a, things that are out of our control and stuff. And I want to always keep searching and always keep questioning and always trying to find as much love as possible, I guess. And I believe in other people's gods too.
Yeah.
I believe in that for y'all, you know what I mean? If that's what makes you a better person and makes you feel more yourself and feel more love, I believe in that, but
that's the issue where we differ. I believe in their right to believe in that. I don't believe that it's doing them any good. I don't think belief without proof is a positive thing, which is a very unpopular opinion, albeit I didn't expect anyone to express that position. I get a lot of shit for that, but I don't think faith, be it loose spiritualism or strict Orthodox Christianity or whatever, I don't care what kind of faith it is. I respect your right to believe it, and I'm not going to come after you for it, but I don't think it does anyone any good beyond people who manipulate it to get monetary gain. There's nothing positive about lying to yourself.
I can't say that I believe it for myself because I don't know. I don't want to cast all my eggs in one basket.
Guys, thank you. Friends, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right.
How good it happened.
I'm so sweaty. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
I definitely think that was surprisingly respectful. I was really expecting a lot like the last video with all the angry people, and to have at least one person I disliked. I can't say, I don't remember his name. I feel bad. I'm trying to go back to when he was on camera. No, that's the wrong mouse button. This guy. I can't say I love his outlook, but because he did express in a subtle way that he thinks it should be forced upon people, saying the job of a Christian is to enforce biblical law and shit. That's not something I can get behind, regardless of anything, really. But, I mean, that didn't really make me dislike him. That's a very common Christian belief, unfortunately. I was surprised to actually not dislike anyone in this. I mean, again, that specific statement he said made me pretty frustrated, but beyond that, I mean, he didn't really say anything different than anyone else, and again, I mean, that's just a really common Christian sentiment, especially Protestant, and yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I don't really agree with anything people on that side said in terms of their opinions. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely a lot less angry watching that video than the last one. But y'all have a good night. I'm confused because my phone says there's 4 people and my laptop says there's 1, so I don't know how many people are here, but regardless, if you're watching this later or there are people here, have a good night. Thanks for listening to me ramble.